The St. Louis Blues have found their next star as one prospect has been standing out in camp enough for Doug Armstrong, saying he has a chance to make the opening night roster. But not only that, we get another update on Dvorsky, including the position he will play if he makes the team out of camp. We're going to break down all these quotes from Doug Armstrong, these two prospects, and exactly why Blues fans are super excited for these two players. We're going to break down all this later on this episode. Before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching this video. If you're part of the 79% watching this and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, it's completely free. It helps us out a ton. And in return, we're going to give you updates on prospects, game recaps, anything you can think of around the St. Louis Blues. So make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. But with that, let's just hop straight into Dvorsky today, where we did get a quote from Doug Armstrong speaking on Dvorsky, and he said if he makes the opening roster out of camp, he can start on the wing and doesn't have to be pressured into taking center position until he's ready to do so. Thomas, Shen, we've seen Suter picked up Bukestad, Sundqvist. There's so many players down the middle with this team right now, which feels like a complete overhaul of this team. It's looking fascinating how they're managing all of this. But Darius, what is your thoughts on Dvorsky looking like he could make this team out of camp?
Well, first of all, if he makes the team out of camp, and again, that's a big if, I'll get to that in a second, because I really actually like what the Blues and Doug Armstrong are planning to do come training camp. But if he makes the team, he's going to have to play on the wing. It's not just the thing of keeping the pressure off of him of playing center at the NHL level. He's not going to be able to play center on this team because he just went out and signed two centers in Suter and Bukestad, obviously. So he's not going to be playing center, and I think that's fine. Ease him in on the wing, and then he can take over at center because he is a natural center, and you don't forget how to play center, especially. It's really hard to go from wing to center, but if you're a center, you can definitely play the wing. It's an easier position. I would argue the easiest position in hockey, even though, not all of them are easy, but obviously you can then move back to center if you want to. So I think if he does make the team, he's going to have to play on the wing. The other interesting thing is what they're setting up all these prospects for come training camp. They're going to make it very difficult with all the signings that they've made for these guys to make the team. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. They're challenging these prospects and saying, listen, rise above, play better than everyone else. We'll make space for you. These teams, trust me, every team in the NHL will make space for you if you're playing well. So, they just signed a bunch of players. They will trade somebody come training camp heading into the season if that means some of the younger guys can come in and they're playing really well and they've earned a spot. But that's the biggest thing. You got to earn that spot. So I think there's a real world that, Dvorsky, for example, could make the team, and another prospect we'll get to in a second. And I wanted to touch on Dvorsky for a second too. This guy, I had the opportunity to watch him play live in the OHL the 1 year that he did for the Sudbury Wolves, and the stats speak for themselves. He had 88 points, of course, in 52 games. But I truly believe there's a big difference between speed and quickness. And this is a guy that I saw that has both. This guy can fly through the neutral zone. He can create plays. He can obviously finish, right? I mean, he was such an even player. He had as many goals as he had assists essentially that year. And he can fly through the neutral zone, but he's quick. He's quick on the puck. He's quick to make a play. And those are things that can definitely translate to the NHL level. So I think he's on his way, but I think they are, and for good reason, trying to make it very difficult for him and other young players to make this team because they want them to rise above and really show everything that they have so they can become a really quality NHLer. So I like it from Doug Armstrong. I like that he's already planting that seed, putting this out there for Dvorsky to see it and be like, all right, maybe I can make this team. I'll come into training camp and show you guys. But I think that he's got all the skill in the world. I think that it's already translated to the pro level, and I think that he's going to be a very solid NHLer. So Blues fans should be excited about this guy because he's been great so far, but we'll see if he makes the team out of camp. No rush either. He's only 20 years old, but I think that he can make an impact coming up very soon.
Because we've seen him dominate at every level. He was great in the AHL. He was awesome in the OHL. Making the next step, I think you'd actually fit perfectly with Suter on this line. Suter's a great veteran that scored 25 goals last year. Someone that's good on the penalty kill at even strength, almost leading, or he did lead the Canucks in 5-on-5 goals. He can be a great defensive player, so I think he could pick up the mishaps of a rookie. But what you guys' thoughts on this? Would you like to see Dvorsky slide into the lineup? What line would you put him on? Because that third line would be awesome. You can move Sundqvist down, Joseph as an extra, whatever it may be. It's going to get very exciting, but it gets even more exciting when we're going to get into the next guy in Justin Carbonneau. Now, we've seen Army on 101 ESPN made it sound like Carbonneau has a real shot to make this team out of training camp. Now, if you missed anything on Carbonneau, this is a PF, someone that can dangle elite handle, a great shot. Everything Carbonneau does, what he's doing, to the point that reporters are saying he's like a bull in a china shop. This kid has future star written all over him. We're seeing how good he was in the queue. 46 goals, 89 points. I mean, Darius, looking at Carbonneau, he has the frame to play in the NHL. He's already tearing it up in development camp. Would you be shocked if he made this team? And I genuinely think he has a chance to maybe go for the Calder if he gets a full season with the Blues.
I wouldn't be shocked because, like I said, I think that if you come into camp and you really play really hard and you show that you belong, which I think he has an advantage that a lot of players don't. He knows how to use his size and he has size, right? So I think that is something that, will instantly translate to the NHL level. If you can protect yourself and you know how to use your body, you have a better chance, especially if you have the hands like this guy does at making the NHL. And like you said, he's a new age kind of power forward. Like he's making everyone look dumb in development camp so far in these scrimmages, right? Like he's flying through everyone. He does, I think, need to work on his skating a little bit more. That might be something that holds him back. And, a lot of people have been talking about that, but that's something you can work with the development staff. It's not going to change overnight. He's going to have to, continue to develop that. But I think there's a real world he does make the NHL because he has the hands. He clearly has the shot from all the videos we've been seeing. So, and we know that he can score at the junior level. And keep in mind, his game, he's more of a power forward and he's putting up points like this. This is not a guy who's like, a smaller player that is just there to score goals and doesn't have any other element to his game. And he's not very dynamic. Like this guy is very dynamic, right? So I think that really lends to the fact that, he might actually make the team out of camp. And like I said, don't make trades. Don't move players out of the way. If you show that you're ready and that you're, playing above everyone else and you're undeniable, there's a real possibility that happens, that they can make some trades and move some players out. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it develops throughout the summer. Again, some of these things don't change overnight, but he looks really, really good so far. And he's just a dynamic player that I think, and a lot of his skills will translate to the NHL.
And I think it's going to come down to either Dvorsky or Carbonneau. I can't see them going with both of these players in the bottom six of a team inspiring to make a run for a Stanley Cup. But either way, what we're seeing from Carbonneau has been incredible. We've seen he is deciding between going back to his team or Boston College or University. And I do think if he does not join this Blues team, it is best for him to go the NCAA route. He's proved everything he needs to do in the queue. 46 goals, 89 points, dominating, looking like a specimen out on the ice. And the biggest thing is we've seen a quote from Carbonneau, and I actually really love this. Since day one, I felt the support. Even when I got to the airport, some people said, "Welcome to St. Louis." It meant a lot to have this fan base behind you. I can't wait to play with that jersey on Monday. And seeing this quote, I mean, Darius, this is a Blues team that made it to Game 7 versus the Winnipeg Jets. A team that took the President's Trophy to Game 7. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the outcome. But what is your thoughts with this team continuously getting better, but still having these prospects that they're bringing in that's not even on the roster yet?
You have so many good young players, like two that we've touched on in this video. There's so many more coming up in the system. You just traded for one on defense in Mayu. And, heading into this season, not only do you have that young core kind of coming up through the ranks, look at the team right now on paper. They're way deeper than they were when they took the President's Trophy winning team to that Game 7. They are way deeper in almost every way. This is a very deep team. So I think Blues fans should absolutely feel really good about this heading into next season. Obviously, some of the young guys could surprise, which is always very exciting. How do you not get fired up about those comments from Carbonneau? And I do want to touch on something that you touched on, that, where is he going to play next season? Like you mentioned, I feel like he's accomplished everything he can at the QMJHL level. I think that if he doesn't make the NHL, it would probably be best for him to go to the college route. With the new rule change in the CHL, you can jump now if you want a little bit earlier. And on a personal level, you can start your education a little bit earlier too. So it'd probably be the best course of action for him. So I think that's the route he should probably go. But again, he's still deciding. And at the end of the day, maybe he makes the NHL, right? We don't know. And I think, a guy like Dvorsky is probably a little bit more ready than Carbonneau, but I think Carbonneau might be a little bit more dynamic in what he brings to a lineup and what can translate, especially to playoff hockey. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But at the end of the day, You know, right now, as it stands right now, they probably both won't make the team, but that doesn't mean that they won't make some moves and that they can't rise above everyone else and make the team.
But Blues fans, what is your thoughts? We know how good this team is on paper. We're seeing the young guys come through. If you guys want us to talk about a certain prospect in particular, go let us know in the comments as well. But if you guys enjoyed this, go leave a like, go leave a comment on everything we spoke on, and hit that subscribe button. We want to keep you updated on everything to do around the Blues, so you're not going to want to miss any of that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care.